Hello and welcome to All Things ArcheAge, Episode 3. And today I'm going to be talking about quests, farming, and your first mount. 3 things you'll likely be spending a lot of time with as you begin your adventures in ArcheAge. When you start the game, questing will seem just like any other game, and for the most part, well, it kind of is. You'll see a quest giver with an exclamation mark above his head, like this guy, and you'll get your first quest. Now, when you complete whatever tasks are assigned to you, you'll return it to the guy with the question mark above his head. If you've played any recent MMORPGs, this will be old hat for you. ArcheAge also has some area kill quests that are denoted by signposts with glowing axes above them. Now, these will usually have you killing a handful of some creatures that can be found in abundance in the area, and you'll get your quest reward upon completion without needing to turn it in. So far, I'm actually really enjoying the storyline quests in ArcheAge. The game does a good job with tying things together with your character as an individual, without going overboard and pretending that your character is the one and only person in this world who can possibly save everybody. Now, the quest givers come across as real characters with real agendas. So when you're asked to go thin out a population of spiders, there's actually a strong enough character or backstory behind the quest to make it feel like a needed task, rather than just the obligatory kill 10 rats quest that experienced MMORPG players are accustomed to. Now, I am speaking as somebody who's never really minded any of these types of quests in the first place, so you may get in the game and decide that the quests are just as lame as every other game you've played over the last 10 years, but for me, and I think it's primarily the way the dialogue is written, ArcheAge feels like a nice update on what is otherwise a tired game mechanic. Now, for a game that offers quite a bit of experience for fighting, crafting, and gathering, there are still great reasons to follow your quest path, besides some interesting storylines. First off, it's largely through questing that you'll learn how to do stuff in the game. The first important milestone you'll come to is the raising of your first pet. Now, I say pet, but what I actually mean is mount. Here is Soul Searcher working on raising his mount. The quest chain basically involves putting my little baby elk on the ground and attending to it whenever I can. At one point I'll need to give it water, and if you have no water there is a well nearby it, which you can gather it. Now once my mount is fully grown, I can ride it, or I can not ride it and let it follow me around. My mount will also level as I play with it, active, and as he levels he'll gain abilities that can be used in combat. Now, some abilities are used while he's being ridden, and some can be used while you're not mounted. And the abilities on my elk are different from the abilities of other types of mounts in the game. My elk has the ability to allow for a passenger on the back, but not all mounts do. Whatever race you start out with, you'll have basically the same quest, so you can get a mount, but the mount you get will be specific to your race. And remember earlier when I called my mount a pet? Well, that's actually accurate as well. Soul Searcher here has found another pet he can summon that is not a mount. He's just a cute little guy who eventually will have a fairly nasty attack and a bunch of self-healing. I cannot summon 2 pets at once, so while I have this one active, there will be no riding for me. Now around level 10, again through your storyline quests, you'll be taught how to farm. Here I am with Fly Molo doing my first farming quests and figuring out how to grow and harvest stuff. It's not that challenging, really. Right-click a seed in your inventory, put it on the ground. When it's fully grown, which can take a few minutes, hours, or days, depending on what it is you're growing, you can harvest it and gain some experience. Before it's fully grown, you can dig it up if you'd like and also gain some experience. Now, when I'm done learning how to plant and harvest, I'm given the stuff I need to build a scarecrow to put onto my own plot in the public farming area. Unfortunately, there are no plots available in this public area, or any other areas in this zone as far as I've found. Now, over on the other continent, Soul Searcher has completed the farming quests and also could not find a plot to farm, but he has been given his first trade quest, which is to make some Soulseed strawberry jam and deliver it. Now, in order to make the jam, I need 100 strawberries and a Soulseed quality certificate. I found out from a guildmate that I can grow the strawberries anywhere, but I do need to make the jam in Soulseed with the certificate, which I can acquire there. The problems are twofold. The first and smallest problem is that I've never even been to Soulseed. The second is that I planted a couple of strawberry seeds right outside a nearby farming area, and when I went and did a quest and came back later, well, they were gone. Somebody had dug them up. Evidently, that's what happens when people find unattended crops in ArcheAge. The thing about having your own farm plot in a public area is that nobody is allowed to dig up your ungrown plants. Now, once the plant has finished growing, you'll get 24 hours to harvest it yourself. If you don't have your own plot in a public farming area, your crops are fair game, at least to a degree. If you happen to catch the thieving plant destroyer, or at least get back on time to see his footprints on the ground where your plants used to be, you can report him, and he will eventually have to go on trial for his crimes. Now, if you get back too late, and there's no evidence left, well, you're out of luck. And that's where Soul Searcher found himself with his first strawberry bushes. So what did I do? Well, I found a spot out in the middle of nowhere which was free from beasts and quests. This plot was beneath a bluff and was hidden by some trees. It's the perfect spot that I could see easily from a distance so as not to misplace my strawberries, but also a spot at which people would actually need to stop and look around to notice that strawberries were there. A few hours later, when I knew my strawberries would be done, I went back and there they were. Now, after I'd gathered them, I was cruising along to buy some more strawberry seeds, crested a hill and down into a farming area, and, lo and behold, it's a vacant plot that I grabbed for my very own. Now growing the rest of the needed strawberries will be easy and risk-free. Now, the reason I came across this plot is likely because someone didn't pay their taxes, which is something you need to know before claiming your plot of land. Every week, you need to pay the tax. For Soul Searcher's small plot here, the tax is just 1 gold per week, which is not a big deal. What is a slightly bigger deal is that Soul Searcher is now leveling and questing a long, long ways away from this plot. So it may not be terribly cost-effective for me to keep it, considering the travel time I need to get to it. At any rate, for as long as I want, I just keep checking my mailbox once per week, which is where I receive my tax notice with a pay button attached to the letter. Oh, and one other thing you should know about public farms is that you cannot grow anything and everything on them. What you want to do is look around for a sign like this one near your farm. It will tell you what plants you can grow here. Now, once I had all of my strawberries, I was off to do my first trade run, but I'll talk about trade runs more in a future video. And there are some other aspects of farming as well, which I won't get into now, because right now, if you're a new player, you probably just need the basics, which I hope I've covered most of. So back to questing. If you are new, you'll want to do quests because it's one of the things in ArcheAge that you'll be able to do without a big learning curve. You'll also want to do them because they offer good experience and teach you about the various systems in ArcheAge. And by the way, you do not need to do the mount quests to get a mount or the farming quests in order to farm, but they will teach you how to do these things and will also give you stuff, like your first mount, for free. Now, there is a fun aspect of questing in ArcheAge that I have not gotten to yet and has made me really enthusiastic about exploring this world. Unfortunately, I was not capturing all of the gameplay at the start of some of these examples, but I was running around with Soul Searcher and came across these kilns. Now, you'll notice that there's a blue exclamation above the kiln. Now, this does not denote a quest. These blue exclamation points are found on all clickable objects, including plants that you can gather and chairs that you can sit on. But I decided to see if I could do anything with this kiln, and the game began giving me instructions like add fuel and cool it down. So I look around at nearby objects and begin picking stuff up to make this thing work. Pretty soon it's telling me I needed a named crest, and a few minutes later I find a mob that bears the name of the crest. So I kill him, and sure enough, I get the crest I need. A few more instructions and a few more crests later, and I finally get this kiln to do something, which pops out an item which grants me a quest, which becomes a quest chain, by the way. Now, what I find awesome about this type of questing is that there were no map markers or any other visual indication that there's a quest here at all. I had to explore, had to try stuff just because I was curious, and had to figure out what I guess you might call a puzzle, although this puzzle was incredibly easy to figure and the mobs I needed were really close by. But I had to do all that in order to find a quest chain. And this is not the only example. Now here Soul Searcher is told that he needs a sextant to find coordinates on this treasure map. That's simple enough. I'm sure that in a year everyone who plays ArcheAge will know all about treasure maps. But notice that there is no information given about sextants. So I start looking around at merchants and crafting tables, and I realized later on that I didn't need to look at all these crafting tables, but I do. And eventually I find that I can, in fact, craft a sextant. The problem being that I don't know where to find all of the ingredients I need to craft the sextant. Now, I could easily ask my guild, or maybe I could find it on an auction. But for me, the prospect of exploring, searching, and learning in a new world is so awesome, and so old school for that matter, that asking my guild isn't really even an option at this point. I can't wait to stumble upon the stuff I need at a later date, and then continue my quest for buried treasure. Now, a similar thing happened to Fly Molo. I'd killed a monster that dropped an item, and the item told me it could be used at the magic circle near Tiger's Eye Lake. Tiger's Eye Lake isn't on the map, and since this is not an actual quest, there are no map markers to show me where to go, but I do find Tiger's Eye, which I'd never been to, and I head there. And then I find, I guess what's more of a pond really than a lake, but I did see what appears to be a magic circle. And nothing happens. I can't do anything. So I talk to this guy who's standing right here, and I find out that there are 4 creatures that need to be killed, but I have absolutely no idea where they are, and this being ArcheAge, my map is not going to tell me. But I will find them. Oh yes, I will find them, if it's the very last thing that I do. And when I do find them, I'm betting on a reward, and maybe even another hidden quest chain. So, there are a lot of things to do in ArcheAge, and some people will love the story quests, and others will love farming, and everyone should probably do some of both. But whatever you do, make sure to explore, and make sure to play with stuff. You never know what you might find in the unmapped regions of the world of ArcheAge. And that's it for All Things ArcheAge Episode 3. Thank you very much for watching. Now, I will be on vacation next week, but I'll be back with Episode 4 in about 10 days, so make certain to hit subscribe, and after that, have a great day.